Welcome to Season 3 of Soccer Over Gotham, an NWSL podcast covering New Jersey, New York, Gotham FC. Hosted by Ruby Pinto and Gary Gibson. Welcome to episode 81 of Soccer Over Gotham. This is Challenge Cup and World Cup edition. We have a great show for all of you. Gary, what do we have in this episode?
A whole lot. Gotham is probably setting a record for rain delays in this season. They went to Washington, scored 2 goals in 10 minutes, and then fall apart in the second half. We'll try to make sense of it. 2 more group stage Challenge Cup matches that are left. We will preview the first one against the Courage. There are lots of injury updates, and did Gotham just sign another player? We're going to cover the U.S. Women's National Team from a Gotham FC perspective. Our guest this week to help us cover the U.S. Women's National Team is #OnceGotham, Nicole Baxter, one of our favorite guests of all of our shows. We love her so much, and we're just glad to have her back. There's just so much to talk about on this episode, Ruby. Let's just get started. How are you?
I'm doing well, but before we get into the World Cup and Challenge Cup here, I just want to say that I went to watch Barbie the movie. Did not disappoint. It's really good, and I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't watched it and wants to go watch it. If you're on the fence, I'm just gonna say go watch it. It's really good. Also, by the way, I didn't realize that this Challenge Cup game was on Friday, and I don't know why, but in my head I thought I was gonna be on Saturday. And I made dinner reservation for pasta ramen in Montclair, by the way, amazing. Mm-hmm. I made this reservation over a month ago, so I wasn't really thinking about the game. And let me tell you, it's really hard to get a reservation at this place. So I was not going to cancel because that meant I probably had to wait another month to get another reservation. They open reservations at the beginning of each month. So it's just tough to get a reservation there. Anyway, I with the weather delay, I was able to get home, by the way, in a food coma because I ate so much there. Food was amazing. So I was able to get home. I watched the first half and I was able to watch the second half live. That's how much of the delay it was. But anyway, how are you?
Were you like, is this a food coma or is Gotham really playing like this?
Right? I did not know what was going on. I was like, what am I seeing right now? This is like a bad movie. I don't know.
For me, 6 years ago, I think either last week or the week before that, I attended my first Sky Blue game. Many years later and a lot more gray hairs, I am here.
We're here. There you go.
Yes. And shout out to Cloud9 making the trip to Washington. I assume that they brought the weather with them since that's all we've been getting lately.
Oh my God. Please, God, one Challenge Cup game without a rain delay. I mean, we probably had 1 or 2, but it's been so constant. I am so tired of them. But yeah, shout out to Cloud9. They are the real MVPs.
We did it. 1,000 followers on Twitter. I refuse to call it anything else. Right before that site implodes and we all head over to the Threads. Very good. Very happy we made 1,000. Thank you, everybody who follows us over there. I think Threads is the answer. Follow us at Soccer Over Gotham over there. It's missing one thing that we desperately need and we can't do without, and that is polls. If the Threads had polls, I'd probably be all the way over there already. Twitter is a mess.
I don't know what's going on with Twitter, but we're there until it falls apart. And also follow us on Instagram as well. Just go follow us there and Threads.
Yeah, absolutely. And the cool thing is that if you follow us on Instagram and then join on Threads or vice versa, it floats over, which is nice because they're connected. Going to our guests this show, Nicole Baxter is so much fun and she's always a great guest. She's a talker. That segment was supposed to be like a half hour. And I cut out a lot of our notes too. So she's just so funny. And we got to make her a regular guest. And yeah.
I was like, okay, I guess we're skipping this part. We're just going to go the next topic. Always such a great guest. Always. We love to have her here. She gave us an update, what she's up to in Florida, what is she doing now after Gotham. So you guys got to go listen to it. We dropped this section of the podcast early on YouTube. So go look for us on YouTube, Soccer Over Gotham, and you will find the video there with Baxter if you want to hear early or now or whatever.
Yes. Let's get over to this game. Gotham is trying to keep pace with the Courage for the first place in the group. Gotham has also not lost in 4 matches. The Spirits, on the other hand, are in a bad way. They're losing 3 of their last 4 and gave up 15 goals over those last 4 games, including a 6-goal second half record-breaking loss to the Courage. Perhaps no team in the league is feeling their national team departures more than the Spirit right now. The ref for this match is the infamous Danielle Chesky. On to the injuries, and this is where it starts getting interesting. Savava Goodwin's daughter is out with an excused absence. Mai Lopez is out with a thigh injury. And Taylor Smith is off the disabled 45-day list, which is fantastic for us. Onto the formation. It is a 4-3-3. We got Betos in goal, which is quite interesting. We have Neiswanger on the left, the birthday girl Krieger in center back, Jean next to her, Edmonds out to the right. Again, another interesting lineup choice. Long, Zerboni, and Sheehan across the middle. Ryan, Stengel, and Purse across the top. Any thoughts on this lineup, Ruby?
I really like that Long and Serboni are starting in this game. We really don't see that much, but I really like this. I feel like it brings an extra layer of defense to the game. We got Betos back in net. Very exciting to see her start this game. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe she has not played a game since she broke her finger, and it's been a while.
Yeah, we're going to get to that game with her broken finger in a bit. But yes, I think you're absolutely correct. Now, interesting to note that there was no Taylor Otto in the 18, but in her place, we got a new name on the roster, Annika Creel, a national team replacement, 26-year-old defender, played most recently for the championship team of the USLW League, Indy 11. She had also played a short bit for the Dash, and then she also played in Sweden as well.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really notice when they announced this, but I found out when they dropped the roster. And Creel is coming back from an ACL injury that happened to her in 2022. I think she will be really good for this team because she's great with long balls, she's good in the air, and it also helps that her height is 5'9". So that will help also in those corners and stuff.
Yes, our friend of the show, Theo Lloyd Hughes, said that Creel was one of the most liked players behind the scenes in Houston from 2021 to 2022, said to be an NWSL exemplary teammate and a dressing room presence. And also the Bayou City Republic, which is the supporter group for the Houston Dash. Annika was certainly a fan favorite for sure. She's always made sure to stick around and connect with fans post game. Even if she wasn't dressed, she'd sometimes be the last player to head to the changing room. So she's a high value target. She's a good person,
Yeah.
and I'm excited to have her on this roster. And as I always say, just because you're not on an NWSL roster doesn't mean you're not any good. Some of these players have so much talent. Sometimes it's just luck, and there's not enough opportunities. And the Indy 11 was a terrifying team this season. They tore through everybody. And again, they won the championship there, and she was a big part of that. So I'm excited to have her here, see
Yep.
what she can do. And yeah.
Yeah. Can't wait to see her play.
Yeah. All right, let's just get to this game recap. Now, under the first half, last game, Gotham came out, and it can only be described as being asleep at the wheel. It just looked like they took this to heart because they came out flying in this one. Ryan frees up Delaney, who had a fantastic first half. She belts one on frame. Barnhart spills the ball exactly where you're told to never spill the ball, which is right in front of the net. And Midge, as smart as she is, follows the shot, puts it in the back of the net. Then, minutes later, Midge finds a pocket on the right side and plays a long looping ball to the far post for Rookie of the Year. Get used to it. Neiswanger finds it through traffic, a difficult goal, but she hits it. Gotham then, they get a little complacent. They're still controlling the game, but a series of errors leads to this goal from Hatch to get Washington back in the game a bit. I think Jenna dribbles out of bounds. Zerboni dribbles, turns into traffic. Jean has her back to her mark. But Gotham, wakes up after that goal and controls the match until about 3 minutes before halftime, where we get yet another rain delay. Your thoughts on this first half, Ruby?
Another rain delay. But besides that, I think this is the best start Gotham has had so far. I mean, 2 goals in 7 minutes. And I even think this is record for the club. This hasn't happened before in the club. 2 goals in 7 minutes. That's amazing. Goal came from Purse. And I spoke about this a couple episodes ago where it's really important to do the follow up and follow through of that ball. You see Barnhart blocked that ball, but like you said, she put it where you're not supposed to. And then Midge was paying attention. She was aware where that ball landed. She was ready and she just buried that in the net. So that was our first goal. Amazing. And Jenna Knightswonger, every time she plays, she's amazing. Dot header, so difficult. And she was able to place it where Barnhart was not able to get that ball. Really, really good. And this is what we've been asking for a long time, for Gotham to take the lead early into the game. And the team was flying high after these 2 goals, but then Hatch had to do what Hatch does, and she got a goal. Great, great goal from Hatch. But that did not stop Gotham. They just kept looking for that third one. They did get a third goal, but it was offsides, unfortunately. But they kept fighting that first half.
Correct. And team was flying, and so were the bodies. Very physical first half.
Yep.
Bodies were flying everywhere. Maybe this is a rivalry game after all. Chesky was taking cues from the World Cup refs, it seems, and just letting everything go. It was super physical.
It was really physical and aggressive, but that's one of the things that the NWSL is known for being very physical. And but despite that, Gotham had a dominant first half, and I was expecting that momentum to just translate into the second half.
Yeah, you're right. It was a dominant first half. The ball movement was really good. Going into, I'm just going to jump right into a player note. I thought Delaney was just fantastic. She was slipping in and out of pressure. She was finding all these pockets of space, getting shots on target, and she created Midge's goal. She was fantastic from start to finish in this game.
Yeah, solid half from her. I mean, she's now shooting to score, which is which I appreciate a lot. However, I would suggest adding a little more power to her shots for better effectiveness. Overall, it's great to see her taking those opportunities.
Yeah, it really is. And we talked about that last week where she's still and being a little bit unselfish where she's trying to get teammates into it, but this time the switch turned on in her head and she started putting balls on frame. So this is a good sign that things are going in the right direction with her. And yeah, I'm excited for that. Any other player notes that you have?
Nicewonga, rookie of the year, getting another goal on the books. I feel with Zerboni and Long in the game at the same time, it allowed for Jenna Knightswonger to come up higher in the pitch.
Yeah, she was incredible in that first half. But Midge, a goal and assist in the first half, I thought she was the star of the show. Let's just get to it, Ruby. We had yet another rain delay, and this one was a long one. The kickoff was at 7 o'clock. We got to minute 42 before the delay, and then returned at 9:19. Then we played 2 minutes and got to halftime. This has got to be very tough on the
Ridiculous.
players. Yeah. There is not much to say here in the second half. Gotham comes out essentially unadjusted, and Washington makes great game plan adjustments here. They start going more direct. They really overload the midfield, and when they got forward, they were lethal. They got hatched behind the line a couple times. They got a little lucky with a deflection goal, but as we always say here, that you create your own luck by putting yourself in a position to get lucky. They took their chances, and it paid off. Gotham was not tidy on the ball, but they held 66% possession throughout, and sometimes they would hold the ball a little bit too long, and they would give the ball away in a bad space, leading to a quick counter. There were chances to get back in this match, but just nothing was going our way. Any thoughts on the second half, Ruby?
Oh my God, this second half, it was just a blur to me. I think I've blocked this memory from my head at this point because it was terrible. It was really bad for Gotham, and I feel for them. But then again, coming back to the field after an hour plus rain delay is tough. You play for 2 minutes and then you have to wait another 15. That's tough. Mentally and physically tough. You have to stay warm. You have to like focus on the game, and you don't even know when you're going to come back into the field. So that is tough. And I don't want to make any excuses because I mean, Washington had to go through the same rain delay and they came out and destroyed us. But just getting back into the game after a delay is just really tough. And then I think the changes should have been made a little earlier around the 55th minute when they scored the second goal on us. Bringing some fresh legs could have helped.
Obviously, it was entirely frustrating for us and the fans to watch, see the end result. But when you take a step back and you're looking at it, you're like, okay, look at the stats. This was a pretty good game for Gotham. If you looked at just the stats, you probably would have believed that it would have 4-2 score line, but not against Gotham. Washington only had 34% possession. They had 242 passes total. Gotham had 458. Only 58% pass accuracy from Washington. They were held in their own end for a lot of this game. They completed only 142 passes in the entire match, 34 clearances. So they were, again, pinned into their own half. But when they got forward, they were deadly. And at the end of the day, scoreboard.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, they were deadly out there. And this is the perfect example of quality over quantity.
Yeah, and we said this a million times, but possession means nothing if you can't do anything with it. And overall, Gotham has not given up more than 2 goals all season, which is a pretty crazy stat. We were giving them up every other week last season. So it is kind of shocking. And also considering how poor Washington has been, you know, hopefully just lessons learned and we move on. I would just want to say there's a really major positive for this club having Taylor Smith return to the field. She's another weapon that is an aggressive attacking option. And hey, maybe instead of playing a center back at right back, we can use Smith there. She would give a lot more balance to the attack, a little bit more speed going forward, and stop teams from getting behind us. I think the right side of Smith and Purse has always been good. And it was really good early in the season. I would like to see that going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Smith and Purse combination on the right side was a force to be reckoned with at the start of the season. Imagine their chemistry and teamwork. I mean, it will be amazing. It's just evident out there. And I'm just so excited to see Taylor back on the field and just see them together back in action. It could provide a strong and dynamic presence on that side of field once again.
Yeah. Okay, Ruby. I like Betos a lot. Obviously, she's an absolute warrior. And I'm not blaming these goals on her alone. I think Gotham hung her out to dry in this one. I'm still of the mind, though, that the Challenge Cup should be Mandy's. I don't want to waste another chance with her talent. I I don't want her to go somewhere else for minutes again. She needs them at this point, and she deserves them. There are too many teams coming up, especially expansion teams, that are going to snatch her up if we don't allow her to get minutes and improve.
Exactly. We need to take advantage of having her here, give her some minutes. But going back to what you said about Betos, yeah, we're not blaming her for all these goals because I mean, the Spirit had to go through 10 other players before they got to her. And we have been really spoiled with Abby Smith on goal and making like amazing saves week after week. I mean, she's had so many saves of the week. By this point, I think like they should just name like the Abby saved of the week by now or something.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah, but at this point, you kind of like question if Abby was on the net, would have been a different game. Anyway, let's move on.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, games, as we get into this game, games in hand aren't points in hand, and we know this. And now that the game that they lost, the pressure is now on Gotham to get points at these last two Challenge Cup games, and most certainly will need a win against a scary Courage team at home next week. I think that would put us in a great position.
Yeah, and I hope the Courage have been doing great these last two games, but I hope Gotham is not intimidated by those scores and the goals that they've made. I want them to come out positive and just take advantage of all the opportunities, secure all the possible points out there. Again, just make the most out of every opportunity these last two matches. I mean, let's go, LFG.
Yeah, let's go. Going back to a conversation we had with Nicole Zerboni, and we talked about how long she's been in the league, and she says that every single time she enters a new season, she thinks she's seen it all, but then something happens. And we talked about last season, it was the COVID, right? We had that. They just canceled the game at last minute because of COVID. So
Yeah.
there's always, and it was always doing something crazy in their path. And I think this season it has to be those rain delays because we have to be hitting a record. This has been just too many of them.
For real. I'm so sick of this rain delay. So over them. And what's really crazy is that like the day before or the day after they play, it's like so nice out. Not a drop of rain.
Yeah. I think Ashlyn Harris saw this coming. That's why she got us those rain jackets for our season ticket
Oh,
holder thing. She knew
right.
this was going to happen. But, you know, not a post game quote per se, but Krieger was on the morning footy show and she remarked that even though it's her last season, that she's really happy that the team is playing so well and she's happy with the direction of the club. And just sometimes it gets lost in all these crazy storylines with the World Cup, with Sinead Farrelly, with Jenna Neiswanger doing very well, Midge's return. You kind of a little bit lost in the shuffle that, again, this is Krieger's last season and a historic career. And it's just good to see that she's in a good place, that she's happy, and the team's going in the right direction. And, possibly we can get her something at the end of this, maybe some hardware.
Yeah, this team has been through its highs and lows, and she's been through them both. I mean, last season was terrible for Gotham, but now we're on our way up again, which is amazing. And like you said, hopefully we get to like send her off with why not a championship.
Yeah. Yeah. And happy birthday, Captain Krieger. Happy birthday. On to the post game conference. This was a very short one, and Amros talked about the positives, such as dominating statistically, like we talked about, and for long stretches. And Amros, Midge, and Delaney echoed our sentiment, as we just talked about a second ago. The storyline of Jenna Neiswanger is Rookie of the Year already, hands down.
Exactly. We knew this since the beginning of the season that she was going to be a great impact for this team. And if she doesn't get rookie of the year, I think we're all going to riot.
Yeah, let's get the stats of the game, Ruby. Any stats of the game?
Yeah, so as we know, Gotham was very dominant in this game, but like I said before, it's quality over quantity. Gotham had 13 shots, Washington had 9. Possession was 66%, 34 for Washington. Passes for Gotham was 458 and for Washington 242.
Yeah, Gotham's attack is starting to find form, and I mentioned this stat maybe 5, 6 episodes ago that Gotham was not scoring on big chances, and since Midge's return, we are scoring on big chances, and we scored on 2 of 3 big chances in this one, and Gotham has been creating more and more. And Gotham has only been held scoreless once in 5 matches and has scored 9 times over those 5. So things are going pretty well, especially since Midge's return. And overall, Gotham is last in big chances created with just 9. Just for reference, Portland is in the lead with 34. And big chances are basically goals that have a really high degree of going in. So it's something like Midge's goal, which is right in front of the goal where she just chips it over the keeper. Those are big
Mhm.
chances. We've been scoring goals from outside the box, and Neiswanger's hitting goals from 40 yards away. And, it's just we're scoring high degree of difficulty goals, but we're not scoring easy goals. We're not even creating them. So now with Midges here, we're creating better chances and we're scoring, which is fantastic. Let's get to our player of the game. There was a choice between Sheehan, Purse, and Neiswanger. And at Over Gotham Pod on Twitter, thanks to the fans who voted on our poll, they chose Purse 71%. Ruby, do you agree?
Yes. So despite the loss, I do agree that Purse was player of the night. She had of the game, sorry. She had a great night. But now that I'm thinking about it, I also think that Jenna Nicewalker had a great game. So I'm gonna have to split it between Purse and Nicewalker.
I got Purse, and I don't think it's close. I think a goal and an assist. I think she had an amazing night, and not for nothing. Between that mess of a game, it was a very long Midge highlight reel. She was making defenders look absolutely silly out wide.
I love watching her play. I mean, just the things she does on the field. Like, I just love it. Her magic on the field. She creates those moments that you're like, ha, so amazing.
Yes. But, I do think Sheehan was very good in this one. I always say this, but she's just an interesting player. She just doesn't do what you think she's going to do, and she always seems
Mhm.
a place to find space on a dribble. You think she's trapped, and she'll just kind of spit out of it, and then she'll make a pass, and you're like, why was that the right pass? But it is. She's getting a bit more aggressive up around goal, which we talked about, which I'm very excited to see that evolution in her game. But I just want to really give a quick update. Sinead Fairley's run at the World Cup has come to an end, and I'm very sad about it. She didn't get a goal, which I was hoping for, but Ireland, I think, did really well, and it was just that group was just a monster. I just think they got thrown to the wolves in that group. And on the other end of that group, Nigeria made it through and takes out the number 40th ranked team, took out 7th ranked team in Canada. Fantastic. They deserve it. And it does feel like 40th ranking seems kind of criminal.
Exactly. I mean, after this World Cup, I'm pretty sure the ranking is going to go up. Everybody thought it was going to be Australia and Canada moving to the next round, but this World Cup has been full of surprises. We see Nigeria is going to the next round. We did not expect that, but well deserved for them. They've been playing really, really well.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get to some standings. In the group, we have the Courage at the top at 11 points. Gotham has one game in hand on the Courage in 7 points. But we got 2 games left. They only got one. So if we can beat the Courage, we can beat Orlando, we will be top of the group. So we need to do that. But I think that loss we just had kind of hurts our chances of getting out of the group. And good Lord, Courage, take it easy. They have a plus 12 goal differential. We essentially just have to win out against the Courage Saturday night. That's a good one. And then the Pride on Wednesday, we know we can do that. A draw just won't cut it. We ain't making up a plus 11 goal differentials, not this team. However, both games are home games. Gotham does play home games, which is interesting.
Exactly. Right now, this North Carolina team is scary. I mean, putting those numbers are it's unbelievable. 5 goals in one game, 6 goals in another game. It's crazy. But I want Gotham to not think about those numbers and go and focus on that game, and we need to make it to the next round. I want them to win the next 2 Challenge Cup games.
I'm so excited to get back in that arena. It feels like forever. But Saturday, August 5th, 7:30 p.m., let's see you all there, Red Bull Arena. Historically, Gotham has only won 5 games against the Courage in 24 attempts. Not very good. The Courage will be done with their group stage at this game. Any thoughts on this match, Ruby?
I mean, like I said, we have a scary North Carolina team coming. But I mean, Gotham sometimes does really, really well with those teams. You're like, they're gonna lose, and then they surprise us and they come out winning. And I understand that we cannot like win every game, but the next 2 games are really important if we want to make it to the next round. I hope Gotham comes out, gives a great performance. And again, I do not want them to be intimidated by the last 2 games of North Carolina.
Believe it or not, the Courage and Gotham have a lot of similarities. They're both the top 2 possession teams in the league, but
Mhm.
we're also the bottom 2 teams in big chances created. So we are second and third on goals conceded per match. So we both, outside of these last two games, both teams don't score a lot of goals. We don't give up a lot of goals. We like to possess the ball. And as soon as we lose the ball, we like to just get it back as quickly as possible. This is going to be a really interesting matchup. And I'm super excited to see which team is able to impose their style on this game. And teams that come out to play against Gotham don't really do too well. Teams that sit in do a little bit better. So it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
interesting to see if the Courage are going to want to impose themselves and come out to play. So we will see. I'm interested to see who bends first.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, they have a lot of similarities. So I think this game is going to be more of a mental game. Who has that mindset to win?
Yeah. So what are we manifesting?
A win. Of course, a win. And I want it to be 2-0. Of course, Gotham's going to win, make 2 goals. If we can get one for Midge and Ryan, that would be amazing.
All right. I am back to this again. I am manifesting a non-rain delayed home game. Got to.
Please. Look, hold on, hold on. Let me look at the weather while we're here because I think it was supposed to be a good day. Let's see. Saturday. No rain Saturday. So we're good. We should
Okay.
be good.
I'm doubling down on no rain. So there it is. So any random thoughts before we go?
No, I don't have any random thoughts. What about you?
I went to my first roller derby match, which
Oh,
is a super interesting sport. And it's a lot less complicated than I thought. It was super fun. And those women that were, it's incredible. That is a tough, physical, incredible sport. And I was
yeah.
surprised on, they had a good crowd. My girlfriend was the jam timer. If I get that wrong, I'm in trouble. If I get like one,
Excuse.
if I say one thing wrong about this, I'm going to hear it for like an hour.
Oh my god. I mean,
Yeah,
you've been dating her for a long time, so you better know. But
I,
I don't really know anything about roller derby. So, what's a jam timer?
jam timer is one who basically like each go around is about 2 minutes, and they
Okay.
keep all the players on point by giving them different hand signals and making sure everything is timed out the way it's supposed to be.
Okay.
Uh, Gosh, you're gonna get me in so much trouble. But yeah, it was super fun, and I'm excited to go to another one. So shout out to the Lehigh Valley Roller Derby team.
Let's go.
Yeah, our conversation with Baxter is so much fun. Everybody who's seen it on YouTube already loves it, and yeah. So let's just get to it, shall we?
Let's go. Welcome back to Soccer Over Gotham, U.S. Women's National Team Breakdown Show. I'm your host and social media creative, Ruby Pinto. In this episode, we'll give you our thoughts and takeaways on the U.S. Women's National Team 1-1 draw against the Netherlands. We'll see who the fans thought was the player of the match. I am joined by the producer, editor, and my co host, Gary Gibson. And today, our guest is none other than former Gotham FC midfielder, Nicole Baxter. Welcome back to the show, Nicole.
Thank you so much for having me. Happy to be back.
Woo!
Woohoo!
Yes, so we have to, catch up and tell us what you've been up to after you left Gotham.
Yeah, so after I left Gotham, I went and I trialed for the Orlando Pride and I had a great month there, honestly. Like I absolutely loved like all the girls that I met there, but the playing style wise, it just wasn't a good fit.
Mhm.
Um so then I started thinking about what might be coming next for me. I had an opportunity to go play in Australia, but in order to do that, I was just gonna have to miss some things that I was really tired of missing, like weddings, like family
Yeah.
parties, stuff like that. So yeah, I like felt it in that moment of like I started to understand how like my priorities have changed over my time of playing because like it was never like that for me before. Like in the past, I'm like I don't care what I miss, like I'm gonna play soccer, and I loved every second of it. And I just started to feel that like passion for it kind of start to change a little bit. So I started looking at jobs and I ended up with a job at EA Sports. So it's been a very, very good time. And that's where I am now. I'm in Orlando, Florida, working from home, chilling with my dog, having a good time over here. Yeah.
That sounds awesome. And I know the fans
Yeah.
miss you. Last time we talked to you, it was your first professional minutes for Gotham
Ah,
FC.
nice.
Yeah, it was
Yay.
cool. Yeah, it was a good episode. It
Yeah.
was one of our most downloaded episodes. So that's
Nice. Happy to
awesome.
hear that. Yeah, we haven't talked in a while. That was a hot second ago. But
It
yeah, I
was.
honestly I miss the Gotham fans a lot. I really do. Like I have such a special love for Cloud9. I still
Hmm.
love like interacting with all the fans on social media and stuff. And that's like one of the bad things about not being in Jersey anymore. Like I would have loved to be able to like go to some games and reconnect with all of them like in a different type of way, obviously, like
Hmm.
not still playing. So yeah, that's a bummer, but yeah.
Have you gone to any of the games in Orlando?
Yeah, I go to a decent amount. Like I still have a lot of friends playing. So, and I just got to see a bunch of the Gotham girls when they came here to play Orlando. So that's been really fun for me to like go to the games as a fan and not have like a stake in the game. Like it's just so different. It's so much more enjoyable. I can't even tell you. I don't have to like care who plays well, what team wins. I'm just like, cool, this is fun. I didn't even pay attention at all at the Gotham game. Like I after the game, the girls were like, "Oh, what'd you think?" I'm like, I didn't watch one goddamn second of that game. I was playing with Allie Long's babies.
Oh, they're so cute.
Oh my god, they're so cute and they're so big. I haven't seen them in a while. So it was a really good time. But yeah,
Yeah.
I still go to a lot of the games and it's like helpful because now that I'm working for EA Sports, I'm in charge of like helping integrate women's players into FIFA Ultimate Team. So like watching the games is actually really helpful for my job. So it kind of yeah, it's kind of nice.
So they can blame all their player ratings on you.
Absolutely. I keep joking with them. I'm like, "You guys better be nice to me or I'm gonna mess with your rating so badly." I actually, to be fair, like, I don't have a say in their, like, initial ratings. That's, like, a whole
uh,
different company.
Yeah.
But, yeah, anything that happens in Ultimate Team, like, you could just point the finger right at me.
very good.
I'm ready for it.
Well, we'll just blame you. But
Yeah.
before we move on to the World Cup, I just want to get your thoughts on how Gotham is doing this season.
I honestly think Gotham is really good this year. Like I think they're really good. I was talking to the girls about it a little bit. Like I legitimately think they have a chance at winning this year. Like if they're gonna win, this is the year with the amount of players they brought in this year. Like Gotham slash Sky Blue. Like I cannot remember a time that they brought in players like this. Like especially on an international level. Like I don't think there was ever a time where they have signed this many players in one season. And a lot of the players are like at their prime or like yeah, they're a lot of these players are like peaking or like maybe even a little over their peak. So um I think they're doing really well. I think that they just need to be more consistent. Like they have the ability to win every game that they play. Like they're that good. But I think that sometimes they just kind of revert back to like what we did last year, which is like a lot of kick and run, a lot of like lacking of patience type of thing. But when they actually like play good soccer, like they're potentially unbeatable. They're very good. So I think they've done a really good job.
Agree.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So let's get over to the World Cup. First thing, I think all the bros out there are running out of excuses on why not to invest in women's soccer because it is booming.
It
Six,
is sick.
yeah, yes, 6.43 million viewers for that Netherlands USA game we're going to be covering on this one. The most watched group stage match in US English language history.
Not
Amazing.
surprised. Not surprised. I don't know if you guys have been watching all the other games,
Mhm.
but since
Have.
I don't start work till noon technically because my whole team works out of Vancouver. So
Uh-huh.
I usually wake up in the morning and I rewatch the games that I like missed in the morning because
Yeah.
like I'm not waking up at those times to watch those games.
Yeah.
But even like the lowest level teams in the tournament, those stadiums are packed. Like
Mhm.
I've just never seen a women's tournament like this. Like you watch these games and it's so loud. And I'm just
Mhm.
like, these aren't even good teams. Like in the past, these teams would have had nobody there to watch. And now these stadiums are absolutely packed and they're actually it's good soccer too. Like it all goes hand in hand. So yeah, it's been so sick to watch. I'm like so pumped about it.
Yeah, the growth of the sport, it's unbelievable. I think over 1.5 million tickets have been sold for this World Cup. And like you said, even like the games you don't think people are going to be there, it's packed, and it's awesome to see that all these people are supporting women's sports. And
Mhm.
it's not that people do not want to watch women's sport. Is that people do not invest. And this is the perfect time to invest right now. Like if you want to
Mhm.
get in it right now.
Totally, I totally agree. I mean, even like, look, it's the whole reason I was hired at EA Sports because they've now started to invest more into the women's game because it's profitable. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to get more users, they're going to make more money now having women in all the same features that like the men are. So like if a company like EA Sports, like they don't need more money, you know what I mean? So if a company like that is like, "Whoa, we really need to be investing in women's sports." It's like can't everyone just kind of follow that lead, you know?
Yeah. And another big thing for this World Cup is Telemundo covering all the games.
Mhm.
Yeah.
1,510,000 total audience delivery on Telemundo and Peacock, which is incredible. It's the most watched women's World Cup match in Spanish language history. Very, very cool.
Unreal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Make it
Yeah.
accessible and people will watch.
Yeah.
Exactly. All
And
right. So
I found this interesting. The top 5 Fox
yeah.
markets was
Yeah.
number 1 was Milwaukee, which I thought was
What the
interesting.
hell?
I know. Kansas City, Washington, Cincinnati, and Dallas. So
Kansas City,
what's going
Washington.
on over there in Milwaukee?
Who the hell knows? I've never even been there. I could
Right.
barely tell you where that is on a map. But shout out Milwaukee. Shout out
Yeah.
Milwaukee because they're supporting women's soccer over there.
Yeah. Get them a team. Who knows? Maybe they were
Yeah,
up
honestly,
next.
yeah, whatever. Throw a team in
Yes.
Milwaukee.
And I did want to talk real quickly about last week I told you like what I'm really looking for as far as what I'm watching in the tournament, but this time I'm going to give you my hierarchy of who I'm rooting for.
Hit me.
So it's a triangle. So the top of the triangle is, of course, it's Gotham players in the U.S. Women's National Team. That's the
Of
top, of
course.
course.
Of course.
And then right below that is the non-U.S. Women's National Team Gotham players that are in positions to advance. That's my second.
Oh, very specific.
Yep. And then right below that is any other non-U.S. Women's National Team Gotham player. And below
Okay.
that is underdogs. And then right below that is just NWSL vibes and pure unadulterated chaos. That's what I want.
Totally. I'm so with that.
Okay.
I do find myself rooting for individuals over
Uh-huh.
teams a lot of the time, like because like you're saying, like you have these favorite like club players or people you're friends with, and I just want them to do well so damn bad. Like when you play well on the World Cup stage, like your career just changes. Like I feel that way especially for someone like Kaylin Sheridan, who like
Mm-hmm.
there's a chance Canada might not even advance out of their group. Like that group is tough as hell. And I'm panicking. I'm absolutely panicking that Kaylin's not going to make it out of the group stage. Like, it's not even
Yeah.
about Canada, it's about Kaylin. Like, so I just, yeah, I find myself very loyal to people in the same way that you're saying.
Yeah, so we'll get to this later, but tomorrow's games, we have Nigeria and Ireland. Like obviously, I love Sinead. I think her story's amazing,
Yeah.
and I love Anamanu. But tomorrow, Ireland doesn't look like they're going to make it through, and
They're not.
Nigeria is in
Certainly
a
not.
really good chance to make it through. So I'm all in on Anamanu going for this game tomorrow.
Yes,
Sorry,
she is one.
Sinead.
She's one of the individuals that I'm just like I want her to have a good World Cup so bad,
Yeah.
and I rewatched the Nigeria Australia game.
Hmm.
Front their last game, and I'm just like, we got to get her on the ball more." Like,
Hmm.
and I looked up the stats afterward. She played like 60 something minutes and only got like 15 touches on the ball or something like that. So I'm like, "Come on, Nigeria, get your 9 involved.
Yes.
Give her the damn ball."
All right, Ruby, want to take us over to the game?
Yeah, so let's go over and have a breakdown of the game against Netherlands. So USA enters this match on the 10-match winning streak after dispatching Vietnam 3-0 in the tournament opener. The US hasn't lost to the Netherlands in 32 years. The lone loss of the Dutch coming in a 4-3 defeat during the first matchup between the teams in 1991. Then the Netherlands are in ninth place ranked team in the world, beating Portugal 1-0 in the opener. And this is a rematch of the 2019 final match where US won 2-0 to Netherlands. Yeah, we go into this match pretty confident. And at the same time, we know this is going to be a team that it's going to be difficult for the US to win. What are your thoughts here, Baxter?
My thoughts. My thoughts on this one. I like really rate the Netherlands. So
Mhm.
actually like going into watching this game, I'm like there is definitely a chance that the US loses. Like I think that like we can all agree in the past couple months like we've seen some disconnects from the US players. And the Netherlands, like they're just getting better and better. They have players that are like really performing well right now. Like Jill Roord is playing excellent right now. Like Van de Donk is excellent. Yeah, going into the game, I'm just like the US when they play these teams now, like they have to come with like their best game. And I don't think we saw that in the first half. I think we can all agree we looked a little
Mhm.
flat in the first half. Yeah.
This is really interesting. This is from the first game to the second game having the same starting lineup, having Smith, Morgan, Rodman up front, Horan, DeMello, and Sullivan in the midfield, and Dunn, Gurma, Ertz, and Fox across the back, and Nair in goal. I'm curious your thoughts, Nicole, on this starting 11 two games in a row.
I'm like not too pressed on the whole like starting the same team 2 games in a row. Like I
Mhm.
think it had they played the Netherlands first, like I think Vlatko started the tournament with what he thought was like their best 11. And then you
Mhm.
can't really change that when you're playing one of the best teams in the tournament, like when the Netherlands is your second game. I'm more pressed about like the lack of subs cuz like yeah, I do think like the US had a lot of momentum in the second half, but like what makes the US so great is their depth. And like when other teams start to get tired and they look at the sideline and you see like Lynn Williams, she could come in the 60 minutes like totally fresh. Like you can't defend that when you're tired. Like you can
Mhm.
barely defend her when you're not tired, you know? So, yeah, I'm just like I'm cool with that starting lineup. I personally don't think it's their like best lineup. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, I'd make some changes if I was like choosing their like best starting 11. But yeah, I'm less pressed about the starters and more pressed as like how are you not going to make more subs in a game that you're trying to win? And they were actually losing. So, it's just yeah, that's what's confusing for me.
Yeah. I mean, there's no denying that this team is so talented and all the players have such great talent,
Mhm.
even the rookies here. But for me, it kind of feels like a big red flag when you don't see like when you see the same starting lineup going against the Netherlands, which are a superior team than Vietnam.
Mhm.
I don't know. For me, I think it would have been maybe Sullivan out, move Ertz to midfield, bring in Cook as center back, then Lavelle for the mellow,
Mhm.
and Lynn for Morgan. Why not?
Yeah, I'm not yeah, Yeah, I would say like I'd make some of those same changes. I think that for Rose, I'm assuming she's not ready to go 90 minutes. Like that's probably
Yeah.
or else you'd start and play her 90. Like that's like no coach can like make that argument that she shouldn't be on the field for this team obviously. So I'm going to assume that it's like a fitness thing just cuz she's come back from injury. But yeah, I would have moved Julie Ertz into as a 6. That's like the probably the main change I would have made.
Yeah, I have to admit that I was wrong here. In the first game, I thought this was all about building confidence, where it's like you're playing Vietnam, you're going to bring in DeMello, who's never had a World Cup minutes. You're going to play players that, building up Ertz's confidence at center back, or however. But as you said, Nicole, I think Flacco thinks this is his best 11, and I was
Mhm.
surprised by that, considering how deep this team is.
Yeah.
Just hashtag free Williams, but we'll get to that. We'll definitely get to that. And I did want to ask you a question about this. Before the game, Netherlands head coach spoke some, I guess we call it fighting words before the
Mhm.
match. And he said, in the past, the U.S. women's national team were a lot fitter than the rest of the world, but those days are over. What is left of their superiority? And I'm curious, two things for you, Nicole. One is coaches talking trash. How do you feel about that? And two, do you think there's some truth to what he's saying?
Okay, so I did see this quote and I read it and I laughed because I think that coaches talking trash like that, it's just like you're kind of setting your team up for failure because now they're the ones who have to play against the players that you just pissed off. So like I'm all for trash talking. Like I absolutely loved the Lindsey Horan, Danielle Van de Donk go at it.
Yeah.
I think that coaches need to be careful because like I think his comments probably motivated some of the US players, I would imagine. And like you don't
Yeah.
really want to piss them off.
I can't imagine you ever trash talking. So
I think that I trash talk like in a joking way,
uh-huh.
but I think that like if you're going to trash talk, you have to be able to back it up and you
Mhm.
Yeah.
have to like know yourself. So like for me, I like totally lose focus when I get like emotional like that in games. So like I don't think I ever trash talked in an NWSL game because I would just
Mhm.
like lose my head. I think you have to know yourself and like Lindsey Horan knew that she could do that and it would like step up her game. I think that when I do that sometimes I lose my head so like I don't I'm also not good enough to do that. I'm not gonna lie. Like you gotta be really good if you're gonna talk shit to Danielle Van de Donk. Like she's one of the best players in the world. And vice versa. Lindsey Horan, one of the best players in the world. So like you wouldn't catch me talking shit to someone who's that much better than me.
Yeah. In your 5v5 games that you're playing now, you're talking trash then?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I thought the first time I played, I was like, I'm gonna get kicked out of this game. I genuinely thought I was gonna get kicked out of the game. As I just like I took it far too seriously.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you think, Ruby?
Personally, I like trash talk as a player, especially before and during a game. It kind of fuels you. You just want to like keep going. Like if you're tired, like you don't feel tired anymore. You want to run more and go get that ball and like score on them. Just want
Yeah.
to come out and destroy them.
I don't disagree at all. I just think it wasn't necessarily for me. Like I think we were talking about this at training one time last year with Gotham, and there's just like there's too much that people could say back to me that would like make me lose my head. So like I think I was joking with some of the girls about it. Like all they would have to be is like say I was like talking trash, right? All they'd
Yeah.
have to say back is like who even are you? Like what are you, a national team replacement player? And like I would want to walk myself right off the field, you know? So like I just had to know myself better. Like don't
Uh-huh.
start things when you know you can't handle what's going to come back at you.
Okay. Gotcha. I never played for a coach that was a trash talker, so that's new to me. And I usually keep that stuff in house. At least,
Mhm.
it's okay to like talk trash inside the locker room, just to
I
build
totally
up your.
agree. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
totally
totally
fine.
with you.
Yeah, not on the outside. But I do think there is a little bit of truth in that. I think
Mhm.
that the U.S. does rely a little bit too much on their athletic prowess. And I think in the first game, U.S. women's national team could have had 85, 90% possession, but they did try to rely a little bit too much on just lobbing balls in the box, trying to get headers on them, out jumping them. And I felt like we could be a much better team than we were showing, and we rely a little bit too much on our athleticism. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes sense. For me, when I saw that quote, I did think like there is some truth to this,
Hmm.
but it didn't have anything to do with like how the US plays or what they
Right.
rely on. Like for me, it was just like a lot of these teams are getting better. And like it is definitely a fact that like in the past, the US fitness was like off the charts compared to these other teams. You
Mhm.
can still even see it with some teams like they all look exhausted by like the 70th minute, you know?
Right.
So yeah, that when I read it, I thought like there is a little bit of truth to that, but that was just because like these other teams, they do have more resources now. Their players are playing in like much better league. They're all fitter than they were before. Brazil is such a good example because like Brazil, I always thought their main issue was their fitness. Like they've always had talented players, but like their fitness was always such an issue. Now half their team plays in the NWSL. Like
Right.
Adriana and Marta are two of the fittest players on the Orlando Pride. So they're going to take that fitness back to their national team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I do think there is a little bit of truth to it for sure.
And something I don't normally like to talk about, but I think this is an interesting topic of conversation, refereeing in the World Cup. I'm curious your thoughts so far on not the level of, but just your thoughts on the refereeing so far at this World Cup.
Yeah, I think it's been decent, but I
Hmm.
just think it's kind of inconsistent. Like
Hmm.
some games players are getting like football tackled.
Yeah.
and
Wow.
like there's not a lot of cards, like especially with VAR too, like I feel like they let a lot of stuff go and then they're like, "Oh, we'll just review it." And I
Mhm.
think it's just like even in the NWSL, I was just talking to Ali Krieger about this. Like, she probably does 5 or 6 extra max sprints per game because of this new VAR thing where they keep the flag down. So
Mhm.
yeah, the refereeing it seems is just like is quite lenient a lot of games. That's how I would word it.
Yeah.
Inconsistent and
Mhm.
lenient.
And it puts the keeper in a bad position all the time when they have to come
Totally.
out and, yeah, put their body on the line.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
stinks.
It's like she's offsides near the halfway line and all these players
Right.
still have to like fight to the death to make sure she doesn't score when it wouldn't have counted anyway, you
Right.
know?
Exactly. He just
Yeah.
did the run for
Yeah,
nothing.
yeah, yeah, now they're all just exhausted and they're pissed off.
But yeah, I mean, I do agree. Referees' leniency can vary. And then at some point, you have to raise the question like where to draw the line and just start giving out yellow cards and red cards to maintain control of the game. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if this happens, but maybe referees should get coach at halftime and like give them feedback like teams. I don't know,
Yeah.
something. And then like so they can come out on the second half and just do better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I will say? So this preseason we had like a very, very in-depth VAR training. Every NWSL team got it. And
Mhm.
I will say, like, it's not it was so different. It made me really appreciate referees more because they like showed us what referees hear in their ears, so like in their
Yeah.
headset. People are talking to them all game. Like they have a room full of like VAR specialists and other referees who are talking to them through the entire game. So I have no doubt that they're getting coached at halftime and also like in the middle of the game. They're getting like people are like yelling into their headsets. I'm like, I don't know how I would focus. I wouldn't even be
Yeah.
able to make these calls. I'd be like, "Stop talking to me."
Yeah.
So it gave me this like real like much deeper appreciation for what referees are dealing with because I just don't know how they focus at all with the amount of people that talk to them throughout the game.
Yeah. First, obviously, referees are human beings, and
Yes.
I think like if you're talking about this specific game, I feel like in the NWSL, if you grab someone from behind and pull them down, it's a card straight, yellow card right at the bat. Felt
Yeah.
like in this game there was at least 4 or 5 of them early on where they just grab a player, pull them down from behind, and I'm like, just calling a foul on that,
Yeah,
and, and that
I totally agree.
and that sets up the rest of the game because as a player, you know if a player is going to do that to you, the first thing in your head's like, okay, I guess we're doing that now,
Yeah,
and you want to kind
totally.
of go back at them for it, and it kind of raises the level. And I think that the refereeing at this World Cup speaks to a larger issue. Obviously, this is the biggest tournament in the world, and there's been a lack of opportunity for women to ref at this level. So it could be just the moment might be too big for them at this particular moment, but they'll grow into it. It's more a learning thing, I guess. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's tough to know like exactly what is going on. Like I
Mhm.
don't think that they would like let anyone ref at this at the World Cup if
Right.
they weren't like qualified or didn't have the resume for it or whatever.
Mhm. Mhm.
So yeah, you have to wonder just like what the discussions are like. Are they supposed to be calling it a little more lenient because of VAR? Like I'm just
Mhm.
like I have a lot of questions.
Right. Yeah, maybe they just don't want to impact the game as much as
Yeah,
they
yeah.
should.
Right.
But yeah,
But I for
yeah,
sure thought that in the Netherlands USA game. I'm like, I thought Lindsey Horan was gonna have 2 yellows by the 55th minute. Like if it
yeah,
was being called like an NWSL game, like
mhm,
each team would have got a player sent off at some point.
yeah,
So it is interesting. It's really interesting.
yeah. Agreed. And let's get over to the game itself. Now, the first half, I'm curious your thoughts. I mean, the Netherlands pretty much dominated possession in the first half. They had a lot more fouls committed. There was 16 fouls in the first half, which is pretty good number. But the U.S., despite having less possession, had way more shots, 9 shots, 3 off target. So I'm curious your thoughts on that, just that first half and guess going down
hmm
after dominating for a lot of the match.
Yeah, I think that stat that you said right there about the US having less possession, more
Mhm.
shots,
Mhm.
Netherlands having uh, a lot of the possession. Like I feel like that's the European soccer versus US soccer. Like
Right.
US soccer is so transitional. Like
Mhm.
US soccer players are like they're playing to get that ball on goal, and like European soccer is much more patient. Like sometimes there's like a little bit of possession fully without a purpose. Like they're just keeping the ball, like they're getting their vibes going.
Mhm.
And I feel like that you could like see that in the way that both teams were playing. Like I'm not surprised by that stat at all. But yeah, I just thought like it was one of the first times in a really long time I felt like a team was like making the US chase them. Like the Netherlands looked so comfortable on the ball. Like
Mhm.
they were really stringing together good passes. Like they were advancing the ball up the field like pretty easily. Like you saw it on the goal they scored. Like there were just these like huge pockets of space where like Andy Sullivan dove in and suddenly this Netherlands player has 30 yards in front of her with like no one there. So yeah, I thought the first half was just like kind of like blah from the US, and the Netherlands just kind of like they looked really good. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like Netherlands looks sick this half. But yeah, I thought the Netherlands just like looked really comfortable and they made the US look really uncomfortable. And during the first half I was like they're how does the like if the US keeps playing like this, like they're not going to advance very far in the World Cup. That's like kind of what I was thinking.
Mhm.
Yeah, you
Agreed.
could tell that Netherlands were getting in like in their heads. You can tell that
Mhm.
by the mellow. She was getting heated out there, and I think that's why they took her out at halftime because she was getting pissed out there. And yeah, and we all know that the US has more talent than that performance they gave going into the locker 1-0. I don't know what happened to them because like these stats show they had more shots to goal, but they weren't able to convert. I feel like those are missed opportunities, just like in the Vietnam game. Uh, and you think they'll come to win this after all that trash talk? Um, yeah, like just go out there and like just win early, like have the lead early. But yeah, let just like
Yeah.
like just come
Yeah.
out there and show them who's boss.
Yeah, I would imagine that the DeMello sub was a planned sub. Like in my head, I obviously have no idea, but in my head, it was like Rose is she's like on a minute progression. So I would imagine she played like 30 in the first game, next game 45. We'll probably see her a little bit more in the next game. And like growing into the knockout rounds, she'll hopefully be 90 minutes like fit. But I totally agree that like the Netherlands, yeah, they were just like in the US's face the whole time and they weren't scared at all. And like I'd loved to see a team like kind of go at the US like that. Not a lot of teams really do that.
Yeah, this was better from the U.S. Than the first game. Obviously, it's a different opponent, and sometimes you play up to your opponent. But I thought this was more cohesion than the first game. And honestly, it was like one chance, one goal for Netherlands. Good for them.
Mhm.
The U.S. seemed a little bit out of ideas towards the end of the first half. But get to the second half, obviously Rose comes in, is the game changer, starts moving the ball around, finding those pockets of space, and just being able to change of pace for the team. I'm
Mhm.
curious your thoughts on the goal. That was a huge moment, the back and forth between Van de Donk and Haran, then Haran stepping up when she needed to be. Curious
Mhm.
your thoughts on the goal.
Oh my god, I loved it. I loved it. I'm like that is like they just caused those two fighting caused such a scene. Like the whole game was stopped. Lindsay's teammates were around her. Like it looked like Lindsay's teammates were even saying to her, like, "Okay, stop, stop, stop." Like,
Yeah,
obviously we had no clue what was going
chill.
on, but that's like what it looked like from when we were watching. And so I'm just like, if you're gonna cause a scene like that, like you got like your game has to start flying, and it did. It honestly did. Like her scoring that goal right there. Like that just created so much conversation and it definitely sparked them. But I
Mhm.
actually thought like in the second half like, obviously, Rose coming in is always gonna help, but I thought that Julie Ertz, like, was the game changer in the second half.
Mhm.
It's like she came out of the locker room just, like, pissed the hell off, and she was running through people. Like, there were times that, like, she's playing center back, and she would pass the ball, and she'd just start running up the field. She's like,
Mhm.
"Screw it, I'm going." She was all the way up, like, next to Alex Morgan at some points. Like, you could just tell she did not wanna lose. So I think, like, between her, Lindsay, like, them, like, talking that trash, following through with, like, those big moments afterwards, like, I thought the goal was sick. I thought the second half was great from the US.
Mhm.
Yeah, really, really, really great second half. especially after like the ref made them like come over
Yeah,
here and let's
yeah,
talk it out. They were
yeah,
like, you two say sorry
yeah.
to each other or
It's
something
extra
like that.
funny. It's just extra funny because 'cause they're friends too, like, when they were
Yeah,
both getting yelled at by the ref, like, the way they were looking at each other was, like, they knew it was serious, but they were also, like, trying not to laugh because it's like
yeah,
it's like getting in trouble at school, like, with your best friend. It
yeah,
was
Yeah.
very funny.
yeah, yeah. It was really funny, and yeah, like you said, Horan, team captain, stepped up and delivered when the team needed it the most. Yeah,
Yeah, sure did.
Yes, and Lindsay said that that's where you get the best football from Lindsay. She said it herself.
Mhm.
I don't think you ever want to get me mad because I don't react in a good way. I just go out there and I want something more. I want to win more. I want to score more, and I want to do more for this team. And she did. And there was a quote from a famous person from Twitter. I think it's Nicole Baxter. It says Lindsay Horan and Danielle Van de Donk started fighting and caused the scene, and then Lindsay immediately scored a goal, and Danielle is ending up the game with a swim cap on her head. So winner is Horan.
Uh,
So
my Twitter is just such a dumb place, man.
that cap though, the swim cap, that's
Oh,
hilarious.
that was I obviously know that the US tied that game, and I got a lot of replies from angry people just kind of being like, "Well, who really won? The Netherlands looks good, whatever." And I'm just like, the girl ended the game with a swim cap on. Like,
Uh,
if that is not like the sign of like who won that like 1v1 battle, it was just like it was just perfect. It was perfect that Lindsay scored and then she had to wear the swim cap. Like it was all just perfect.
yeah. All right, let's get to one of the last topics of conversation for this match is obviously the lack of subs. And I'm curious, as a player, what is your thoughts on not utilizing the bench when you have like the most talented roster in the history of soccer?
I would be pissed as hell. Like
Hmm.
if I'm sitting on that bench, I'm like fuming because
Hmm.
when you're on the bench, like especially a game like that, like they're tied, like it's super physical, like you're sitting on the bench and you're like I swear I can help this team. Like all I want is to like get in there or even if it's not you, if it's someone else on the bench, like I know that we can all like help this game right now. Like we're all fresh. Some people look tired. So like yeah, I would be super super confused if I was one of those players sitting on the bench.
Hmm.
And I genuinely like I don't know really what Vlatko is thinking. Like the US that's part of the reason why they're like they've always been unstoppable is because their depth is crazy. So it's just like it's very confusing and if I was one of those players I'd be like what the hell is going on?
Right. When asked, Vlachos said that the subs were affecting the rhythm of the game. He said he considered Lynn Williams for the second half. His response is that he was concerned a substitute would take a minute or two to adjust to the game, but just know that Williams was top of the mind.
I will say like there have been games where like I've been sitting on the bench and there was the Challenge Cup final that we played in against Portland. I remember being on the bench and thinking we shouldn't make any subs. Like we had so much momentum. There were so many times like that we were close to scoring. And so I genuinely was like very rationally sitting on that bench being like, yeah, I like totally agree with the decision that we shouldn't put any subs in right now. Like the people on the field are doing a really good job. Like I thought we were going to score. So, I can imagine like Vladko, considering the fact, like, okay, we have momentum. Will a sub like kind of change that? Like, I can imagine that, like, maybe you do think that, but it's also different when like it's Gotham, a Challenge Cup game, and Nicole Baxter is on your bench. Whereas, like, it's the World Cup, you're the US, and you have someone like Lynn Williams on your bench who, like, pretty much scores in every NWSL game she plays in. You know what I mean? So it's
Mhm.
like, it's really tough to kind of understand, like, why you wouldn't. It's not even just Lynn Williams. Like, they have a lot of people who are on that bench that could have helped. So, yeah, it's really tough to understand what's going on in that guy's head. I'll say that.
Everyone's asking, like, "Where's Lynn Williams?" Everyone's asking the
Yeah.
same thing, and
Uh,
personally, I think a minute or 2 is not too bad for someone to take, like, to adjust into the game. I think putting Lynn Williams after that first goal would have been great,
mhm.
especially with the momentum going up and up as we scored that equalizer. I mean, it just makes sense to me, but I don't know. I it kind of
I
feels
also
like you don't
just
trust
like
the players on your
yeah,
bench.
it feels like a weird excuse. Like, when has Lynn Williams ever had trouble adjusting to a game when coming off the bench? Like, when has Christy Mewis ever had trouble adjusting to a game coming off the bench? So it's just like it seems like kind of a weird excuse, and I just like don't really necessarily believe that he was being honest in that moment. But I do like I remember reading this quote. I want to say it was like Anson Dorrance, and he was saying that his because like UNC women's soccer has always been the same, right? Like their depth is unreal, and I remember him saying that, like, as a coach, when he's thinking about subs, he considers, like, when is this bench player at 100% better than this starter? It's like when the starter reaches like 60% or 50%. What is it? And I would argue that a fresh 100% Lynn Williams is more than good enough to like go in over a Trinity Rodman who is at 60% by the 70th minute. Did that make
Mhm.
Yep.
sense? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's confusing for sure.
And towards the end of the game, Sophia Smith and was looked drained. So I don't know why you want to run her into the ground. And Rodman was chasing shadows at the end of that game. So I don't know what.
Chasing shadows. Yeah,
Yeah,
they were
she
gassed
was
as they
everywhere.
should have
Yeah,
been. They were chasing the whole first half. Like,
uh,
I would have been gassed after the 30th minute. Like
yeah,
yeah, it's fair that they were gassed, you know? But yeah, we needed some subs for sure.
yeah. Change of pace. What players do you think from Gotham FC would you like to see in the next cycle?
Ooh. Jenna Nicewanger. I'm
Right.
high. I'm really high on Jenna Nicewanger. I don't know her at all, but
Right?
I just absolutely I rave about the girl any chance I get. I just think
Yeah.
she's so productive, and like she's
Uh-huh.
not even an outside back, you know? And she's so young, like the fact that she's already having such a like large effect on one of the most experienced oldest teams in the NWSL, like it's just kind of for me like you kind of have to give her a chance at the next level to see what else she's capable of, you know? Like the girl can play any position on the field. She's fit as hell. Like she's a left-footed player. Coaches love that. And she's productive. Like she gets crosses in the box, she scores goals. She's one of the young players that I'd probably start like giving some looks to. I'm sure she's got to be on their radar. I'm sure.
Yeah. What do
Yeah.
you think, Ruby?
I mean, we in this podcast we love
Oh
Jenna
gosh.
Lightswanger.
Do
Yeah.
you? Do
We're
you?
rooting
I
for
think
her.
everyone does,
Rookie of
honestly.
the year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. When I hear other players being talked about in like the rookie of the year conversation, I'm like,
Oh.
I don't know why I feel so like invested in this, but
Mhm.
like if it's not Jenna Nicewanger, the system's rigged.
Right.
Like
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Gotham is a top 3 team in the NWSL. She's one of their most productive players. The girl's like 22 years old. Like
Yeah.
how can she not be the rookie of the year? That's in my dumb opinion. My dumb
Yeah, if
personal
there's
opinion.
any position, if there's any position that's not quite always settled, it is that outside back
Yeah.
player, and she does both. She's learning the defensive side of the game. She's getting better at that, and obviously, who other than like Sofia Huerta, who puts in better service than she does?
Yeah,
Not many players.
genuinely, yeah. She puts in some really good service, and like
Yeah,
it's such an added bonus that she's like a
hmm
natural lefty.
yeah, yeah. I think you absolutely have to keep her in that at least the next cycle, and that's was maybe Yasmin Ryan as well. I'd probably
I
would
love
like to
her.
see her step in. Yeah.
I think she's so good. Yes. I
hmm
played a little bit of pickup with her in the off season, like when she
Oh,
first came to
nice.
Jersey. And the way she moved like really reminded me of Mal Pugh. Like
hmm
they're obviously different players, like they play different positions, but it was something about like the way that she moves on the ball is like she like glides in the same type of way that Mal does. She like glides on her toes.
hmm
I think she's really good. And I'm like really happy that she finally scored a goal. Like I think that she's been sitting on that for like a couple games. So yeah, I think she's definitely a player that should be on their radar as well.
Yeah. All right, let's move over to the player of the match week. The fans over at Gotham Pod on Twitter. So a fan chose Haran. Thanks to the fans who voted, do you agree that Haran was the player of the match?
Um, See, Yeah, but I also think that like a lot of fan votes about player of the match, like everyone always leans towards the person who scored the goal. And I just think
Yeah.
that like there was so much dirty work done in that game. Like I thought Julie Ertz like changed the whole game the way she came out in the second half. And I also sleeper for me, I thought Crystal Dunn did a low key good job. I think what was interesting about her, and like I don't ever give defenders credit, certainly not outside backs. Like I never would choose them. Like I just always lean towards attacking players when I talk about like the players that I thought did really well. Crystal Dunn's like reaction when she loses the ball is like her transition from attacking to defense is so quick that I thought she just did such a good job of like winning the ball back for the US in like higher positions on the field. So like I thought she gave the ball away like a decent amount, but then she would win it back so fast that I thought it just like had a positive effect on the game. Um
Yeah.
so yeah, those would be some of the players that I'd give some credit to, some of those defensive players.
Yeah, you're right. We always overlook the defense, and
Mhm.
they're really important as well. And
Yeah.
I do agree with the fans like Horan. Yeah, player of the match. Why? Because she stepped up. She
Mhm. It was also, like, her presence, yeah, like, she had such a large presence because of, like, the trash talk that was happening that I do
yeah,
think that she would definitely be up there in the conversation for me as, like, who was the player of the match for sure. But,
yeah,
yeah, I think everyone just leans towards the person who scored the goal.
yeah. And she really went out there and acted like a captain should. Like
Mhm.
and just have their team's back. So
Yeah,
I do
totally.
agree with Horan, but I also agree with you. Dunn was good. Ertz was good. So hard. What about
Yeah.
you, Gary?
I agree on the night it was Haran. I think Haran's been good over the first two games. I think
Mhm.
probably our most like consistently good player of the first two games. But I also want to shout out to Naomi Gurma. I think she's been playing
Nice, that's
lights
a good
out.
one. That's a great
Yeah,
one.
Mhm.
I think she's fantastic. Like,
yeah,
she's gonna have such a long, great career
yeah.
on that
Mhm.
US team.
She's like a calculator, like a risk management calculator,
Yeah.
and like you know the meme
It's a
where
good way
like
to
the
put it.
woman, yeah, the woman's like sitting there, like all the calculations are going around her
Uh-huh.
head. She's
Yes.
confused, like that's Gurma, but she understands all of
Yeah,
that.
yeah, it's like her brain's, like, moving at a different pace.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's so
she's
good.
she's, like, especially for a young player,
Yeah,
she's almost so good that you don't talk about her for player of the match because she's so consistently like that,
right.
that it doesn't even stand out to you anymore because 'cause you're like, "That's just Naomi Girma." Like, she's
Yeah.
just so freaking reliable. Like, she does her
Yeah,
job
Mhm.
so well, and so I always forget to bring her up in, like, these player of the match conversations, but I think I'm totally with you on that one. She's
yeah.
been very good. That was a good
I remember.
shout.
Yeah, I was watching her last year, and you just get the feeling like there's nothing too big for her. Like
Uh-huh.
she just the moment. She never
I
seems
totally
phased by
agree.
the moment. Yeah,
Cool as a
she's really
cucumber.
good.
That's how she looks.
Yes, absolutely. So let's get to some Gotham player updates. Nicole, do you have any updates on Anamanu?
Oh, I love Ify. I really love Ify, and I need this girl to get the ball more. Like, and it's not even on her. It's just like it's the way Nigeria plays. Like they're very like outside of the field dominant. I think Nigeria, but they are a sleeper team, and I'm glad that her team is doing well and that she's starting and like getting a lot of minutes. Like, I'm really rooting for her. I want her to score so freaking bad.
Oh, absolutely. I would I'm gonna get this later, but I want the Nigeria Ireland game. I want it to be a 2-1 game, and I want Anamanu to score twice and Fairley once. I want any Fairley to score one goal.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I word it to my, if like my friends are on a team that I don't want to win. I'm like, I hope you score 8 goals and your team loses 9-8. Honestly.
That's what it is. Yes. So, any update on Fairley, Ruby?
Ireland faced Canada, and Sinead played 65 minutes of the game. She had 5 passes into the final third and 2 shots on goal. Unfortunately, Canada won, and Ireland was eliminated from the World Cup. They still have one more game against Nigeria, but if they win, they do not have enough points to go to the next round. But all these women just play with so much passion, so much heart out there. I like Ireland so much.
I love Ireland. I really do. I have such a spot in my heart for them. I don't know why. I just
Yeah.
feel like they're like fighters. And they also have a handful of like American players on that team. Like I love Sinead Farley. I love Marissa Shiva. Like I think Caruso was actually drafted by Sky Blue, right? Back in the day.
I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah,
Absolutely right.
so yeah, I just there's a lot of players on that team who I'm like heavily rooting for. So it's a shame that they don't have a chance of advancing anymore, but they're in the hardest group in the tournament, like without a doubt.
Yeah, we are almost at the point where Nigeria can knock out either the 7th or 10th team in the world. That's pretty
I'm
crazy.
petrified. It just sucks because Australia's the host nation. I want them to go through so bad. Like they're the host nation. Kaylin's on Canada. I need them to go through, like in my heart and soul. And then Ife's on Nigeria. So I'm just like, how I wish all three teams could advance. Like I have legitimate
Yeah.
reasons for wanting them all in the next stage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But imagine how Sam Kerr feels right now that she hasn't been able to play.
I'm like I'm genuinely heartbroken for her. Like
Yeah.
I could cry thinking about it. Like the World Cup in your host nation, like that's
Mm-hmm.
never gonna she's never gonna play in a World Cup in Australia ever again. It's just I'm like I saw that she's gonna be available for the next game though. So hopefully she's like good enough to play a decent amount of minutes.
Yes. And Bruninha played 0 minutes. Boo! In a
Oh,
2-1
poor
loss to
Bruna.
France.
Poor Bruna.
Yeah, but a huge game Wednesday, August 2nd, versus Jamaica. Jamaica has 1 point on Brazil, meaning Brazil needs to win to advance. This was my dark horse team going into this tournament. I'm hoping that they make it through. But the reggae girls, you have to.
This one's so
Gosh,
tough because
I
like
know.
Jamaica is always a sleeper team. Like
Yeah.
they have some decent players. Like Bunny Shaw will be back. But like Brazil for me is like a contender to win the entire thing. So if they get
Hmm.
knocked out, like to me that's such a massive loss. And I just I th- they got to win this. Like they have to win. And it's like Marta's last World Cup. Like I feel very now that I'm speaking to you guys about this, I feel very emotionally tied to about half the teams in this World
Hmm.
Cup.
Hmm.
So it's just like Brazil's another one. Like I need them to advance. For me, it will be
Yeah.
heartbreaking if Marta doesn't make it out of the group stage in her last
Oh.
World Cup.
Yeah, and after last season with Coach Menzies and doing a deep dive on his impact on the Jamaican national team, and their story is incredible, and
Hmm.
how they were brought back from the brink from Marley's daughter. I'm blanking on her name, but they have such an amazing story, and you want to. That's a team that you definitely want to root for,
Yeah.
regardless.
Shout out Hugh Menzies. I love that guy. I
Yeah,
think
he was.
I love him. So yeah, that's another reason to root for Jamaica. Like yeah, he's a great guy, and like he really helped that program so much. And like so many of the girls on that Jamaica team, like they are now playing for better club teams. Like they deserve like the results that they've been getting, you know? Like I don't think their federation has treated them like particularly well over the years. So for them to like come out in these major tournaments against good teams and like fight the way that they do, I like really respect it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get to our next opponent, which is Portugal. The U.S. women's national team extends his unbeaten run to 19 straight World Cup matches, the longest streak, men or women. Portugal went through a
Wow, I didn't know
10.
that.
Yep. Portugal went through a 10-match group stage to qualify for their first World Cup tournament. Portugal has been decent. They lost 1-0 to the Netherlands, and they beat Vietnam 2-0. USA leads the all-time series 3-0, and Portugal has yet to score a goal against the US. I'm curious your thoughts on this matchup, Nicole.
Yeah, I think that the US should like destroy them, honestly. Like I think we're probably going to see a pretty different lineup the next game. Well, I shouldn't even say that cuz like who the hell knows at this
Yeah,
rate.
right.
But like normally in a normal situation, this would be like the entire second lineup to give like some of those other starters some rest. So I think that the US should definitely beat them. But what's like fun about this World Cup, it's like anything can happen. Like these teams are all so much better than they were in the past. So like even a team that had to play 10 games to qualify, like they can like bust out a win, no doubt, you know? So
Mhm.
you can't just like you can't sleep on any of these teams. Like the US still have to come out and like put their best foot forward, which I'm sure they will. Especially like if it's a whole different round of players, like they're going to be fired up to be on the field, you know. So I'm going to say the U.S. is going to win 3-0.
What do you got, Ruby?
I mean, sounds good. But I'm also expecting to see a different lineup. At least some players give them some rest. 1999 was the last time the U.S. women's national team had an unchanged starting 11 in the group stage. Hopefully,
Whoa. I
yeah.
didn't know
so
that.
Yes.
The
Well, they
last time
won.
they had. Exactly. So hopefully this ends like it's 1999.
Yeah. One can hope. Wow,
Yeah,
that's really
and
interesting. I didn't know that.
I'm also saying 3-0.
All right.
Yeah, just win and move on. That's all I want.
Yeah, truly. Like, I don't. They can win
Yeah.
1-0 for all I care, but like they have to win. Please win.
Yes. Agree. So what are we manifesting this week?
Ooh. I'm manifesting Canada. Canada is going to beat Australia.
Okay.
And they will advance.
Okay.
I kind of regretted saying that as soon as I said it.
I was like, in my head, I was like, okay.
As soon as it came out of my mouth, I was like, oh shit. I don't know if that's what I really want. I really want Australia to go through. Is there any chance that both of them go through? No, right?
Is there?
I don't think so.
Points wise, I don't think so. I think it has to be one or the other.
Yeah. Yeah, Nigeria has one of them beat. I think Nigeria should be through. I think.
Okay.
I think even if they tie.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I looked this up because I was doing the same calculations for Brazil. Because like I'm just trying to figure out a way for like all of this to work out for me personally. I'm also, you know what? I'm just gonna manifest. Everyone gets some good sleep. Everyone has good vibes for the week. And everyone drinks a lot of coffee.
So what's your game plan for Tuesday?
Oh, Jesus. Listen, I really want to tell you that I'm going to watch that game, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to watch it when I wake up. It ruins my whole day when I try, like even the 6 a.m. games, like it ruins my whole day. I can't work properly. Like all I want to do is like sleep and lay in bed. And it just, then I also don't work out. I've got myself on a really good Pilates workout plan. And I skip Pilates when I try to wake up for those damn early games. So I'm not doing it. I'm going to rewatch it as soon as I wake up. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, so it's a work day for me. So I'll be awake at 6. I'm not going to get on Twitter. I'm not going to get on Instagram, anything. I'm just going to go straight to Peacock and watch the replay.
Yeah. Honestly, it's like I have Thought Mob, so like I get notifications.
Oh, yeah.
But if I wake up and I watch a game right away, like I probably haven't seen the result yet unless I'm looking for it. So like you can get away with rewatching a game and not knowing what happened. Like no one's spoiling it. So I do usually look up the scores. I'm not gonna lie though. I know the results like before I rewatch most of the games because I can't help myself. Like I just want to know who won.
Yeah. What do you got, Ruby? What are you manifesting?
For me, I just want Lynn Williams to play.
Right.
I love that. That's you know what? I think that's a pretty easy thing to ask for. I don't think you're asking for too much there.
No.
No.
Exactly. Yeah, you're asking for Australia, Brazil,
yeah.
Nigeria.
I just said something about the host nation getting knocked out, so I'm gonna bite my tongue. What an idiot! I don't know how I'd say that.
We can take that out if you like.
Yeah, fuck it. I am who I am.
Yes. All right. So, my manifestation, you guys already know already. I'm manifesting the 2-1 win. Again, Anamanu scores twice. Fairley scores once.
Love that. I'm with that. I'd like to double manifest that.
Okay.
I'd like to retweet your manifest.
All right. Very good. Or is that the accent? What is that? Like you can't quote tweet. It's like an quote X. I don't. Whatever.
Oh my god! It's a repost now, not a retweet.
Oh no, no!
Like it's like
not for
you don't
me.
tweet anymore. It's like you X now.
Oh, get over yourselves, Twitter. I'm calling it a retweet forever.
Yeah, tweet. It's gonna be a tweet for me.
Twitter.
Yeah. All right. So, any random thoughts before we get out?
Oh my god! I just felt like a boomer right there. Like it's gonna be Twitter. I don't care.
Yeah.
No, this was fun. I'm happy to be back on Soccer Over Gotham.
Yeah, we always like talking to you, and you can come back anytime.
I
You're
love
always
that.
fun.
I love talking
And
soccer with you guys. It's always a good time.
yeah, very good. And yeah, so that is our show. We had Renee Washington on last week,
Oh
and
my
she said to
god!
shout out to you.
Oh my god, my girl. We
Yeah.
went to high school together.
Yes.
That's so funny.
Yeah,
What
she
a
was.
small little world. She's, you know what? I'm gonna shout her out right back because she's doing a great job
Oh, she's
on
killing it.
MSG.
Yeah.
I am
Yeah.
like so happy that those games are on MSG. I can't even
Oh,
tell you. How cool
Yeah.
is that? Like it's the same
It is
network
cool.
the Knicks and the Rangers play on. Like it's about damn time. So shout out Renee.
Absolutely.
She's doing such a good job.
Yeah, we're gonna have her back on because I was like, as I was talking to her last week, I'm like, I do a lot of research on our guests to make sure that I know everything possible about them.
Yeah.
And I'm going through her story, and I'm like, well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
interesting. She's doing this. That's interesting.
Oh my
Like, I
god.
gotta.
You should
Yeah,
have seen how hard that girl worked to like get where she is. Like
yeah,
you don't just start like reporting for people like just don't even understand the grind that it takes to go from like
hmm
not doing that to getting to that point. Like she was like reporting on like high school lacrosse games. Like she was like in the low lows trying to like
hmm
get that career started. And so the fact that she got herself to like the WNBA and she climbed that mountain like with no one gave her like any chances it seemed, and she was like, I'm gonna do this, and now she's on MSG. It's like pretty incredible.
yeah,
Go girl.
yeah. The coolest thing about her is that I was looking at like her like I think it was called Planted Not Buried or something like
Hmm.
that. It's just a program she does. It always seems like as she opens doors, she's pulling other people through the
Uh-huh.
doors
yeah.
with her.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
she's awesome.
I do feel like that's like the women's soccer community. Like
hmm
I feel like I really felt that at Gotham. Like I made so
hmm
many connections just with people like Gotham fans that I like got to know over Twitter and stuff that I felt like when I stop playing soccer, like there will be opportunity for me. And I just like I encourage current players all the time to like do that type of stuff because not everyone likes using social media or like networking and stuff, but like you're just genuinely like talking to people and I'd feel like all women's soccer people and fans, they just want to like pull you through those doors with them. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's a real good community we got going.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so next week, we're going to be covering the U.S. Women's National Team versus Portugal with our best friend of the show, Jenna Tinelli.
Ah, lovely.
Look at all these
I
big
love her
hitters we got on the
too. I
show.
love her
Yeah,
too.
I know. Shout out to Jenna. But
Shout out Jenna. Shout out Jenna.
Shout out. She was in Italy. She was on
I
vacation, but she's
saw
back.
that. I saw that.
yeah, yeah, good for her. But all right, I'm ready for this next game against the Netherlands. You ready, Nicole?
I am more than ready. I
We're
love it.
Yes.
ready.
I'm like, at my friends joke, like my girlfriend was joking with me the other day because every World Cup game that we watch, it'll be the 90th minute, and I'm like, I don't want it to be over yet. Like I get so
Yeah,
upset. So I'm like,
yeah.
I would get so pumped for all these games. I don't ever want this tournament to be over. I'm not gonna lie.
It's true. All right, let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Hi, everyone. This is Gary. Thank you for listening and supporting our project. Here are other ways you can support the show and connect with us. First, word of mouth is everything. So please share our show with anyone who might listen. Also, please rate us 5 stars on Spotify and review us on iTunes. You can purchase our merchandise at the TeePublic store. Join in the conversation on Twitter at OverGothamPod and Instagram at Soccer Over Gotham. Lastly, you can email your thoughts and questions at soccerovergotham@gmail.com. Once again, thank you.
What the hell are you talking about?